Okay, I think we're just about ready to get started. Melissa, Kirtiana, I don't know if you guys want to say a few words about the NABJ Global Task Force.
Of course. Sure, I'll definitely do that. Okay, hey. I want to welcome everybody here today to our very first event from the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ Global Task Force. And I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with the NABJ, which is the advocacy organization on behalf of Black journalists in the United States. But what is even more interesting about NABJ is that it has individual task force related to various areas of journalism. And of course, the NABJ Global Task Force is focused on international journalism, and particularly the coverage of and about African and African-American experiences worldwide. And my name is Kirtiana Freeline. I am actually a co-chair of this task force along with Melissa Noel. And just briefly, a little bit back about my background, I'm actually talking to you from Salvador, Brazil. And I'm actually a journalist based in Brazil, where I cover Brazilian politics, Brazilian social justice issues, focusing actually on Afro-Brazilians. And Melissa Noel, she's an award-winning independent media, multimedia journalist and television host and media entrepreneur. And her focus is actually on the Caribbean diaspora. And we are all so excited today that our very, very, very first event, this is our first event, is on the topic of Haiti. And I actually remember when Aurora, she's been the quarterback on this whole event. I remember when she pitched the idea, and she actually asked us, do you think there's a problem if we actually focus on one particular country for our first event? I mean, maybe we should focus on the Caribbean instead of Haiti. And I had to tell her, I don't think there's any problem at all focusing on Haiti, just as a person of the African diaspora, because I do think that Haiti deserves the respect, being the first country to permanently ban slavery and the slave trade. And I just think it's just something that I'm just happy that today we can talk about how to cover Haiti in the news. And of course, I'm just going to pass it on to Aurora. But briefly, before I pass it on to her, let me read to you a little bit about her background. So Aurora is a Reuters global news desk editor with over a decade of experience in covering international news. She's lived in and reported from South America and North Africa. And previously, she worked as a news editor in Quito, Ecuador, where she coached a team of writers reporting on Latin America. During the 2011 uprisings, she worked as an editor for English language digital media in Cairo, Egypt, covering the Tahrir Square protest movements. And she has worked with the Huffington Post in New York, as well as CBS News Investigative Unit and ABC's Nightline in Washington, DC. So I am going to pass it on to Aurora, where she's going to introduce our amazing guest tonight.
Thanks so much, Kirtiana. So yes, thank you all for being here tonight for this important discussion on Haiti. And thanks, of course, to the NABJ Global Task Force for supporting this and helping to make this idea become a reality. I think it's important that we have this discussion today, January 31st, the day we are closing out the month of Haitian independence and opening the month of Black history here in the US. We hope that this conversation will offer a bit more knowledge and information and context for journalists, but also the wider public that wants to know more about the situation in Haiti. In recent years, media coverage of Haiti has increased as multiple crises escalated in the country. A year and a half ago, in 2021, the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse amid mass protests calling for economic and political change sparked a migration crisis that saw many Haitians seeking to flee the country, taking dangerous routes to find asylum or start a new life abroad. In Del Rio, Texas, many Americans and others saw shocking images at the US-Mexico border where Border Patrol officers on horseback waved whip-like reins, and some were reported using slurs and, quote, unnecessary force against Haitian families that included small children. Now, escalating violence by armed groups in Haiti is prompting calls for international intervention by the United Nations and some in Haiti. At the same time, as many of us on this Zoom call well know, journalism itself is going through its own crises. We've endured mass layoffs, shrinking newsrooms, and resources that limit the stories we can tell. We have also been fighting to advance newsroom diversity. But in the field of foreign correspondence in particular, the part of newsmaking that often shapes our view of the world, many of the correspondents that take the lead were usually white and/or men. And all of this is on top of near record high distrust of the news media, according to Gallup and various polls. So that leaves us with the question that we have tonight. How do we tell these important stories about Haiti? Why do they matter? What does comprehensive, rigorous, careful, but also thoughtful and compassionate coverage look like? How do we build trust with Haitian communities in addition to the wider US and global community as we tell complex stories? Today, we'll hear from a distinguished group of Haitian panelists representing editors, reporters, advocates, and scholars. While we are limited in some capacity, as we're not able to expand this conversation with translations in French or Haitian Creole, and we also have strict time constraints, we're still super excited to introduce to you tonight's speakers, who I know will offer us some insight on how to answer these questions. First, we have Macollvie Neel. She is a writer, editor, and communications consultant focused on elevating the voices in the workplace and media spaces through her work. Macollvie serves as the executive editor of the Haitian Times, where she leads its editorial and content strategy, coaches reporters to bring forward the nuanced experiences of this underrepresented community, and provides commentary about Haiti on NBC, CBS, NPR, and many other outlets. Next is Ralph Thomassaint Jozef. He is an award-winning multimedia journalist born in Haiti. He started reporting life in the camps after the 2010 earthquake that killed over 200,000 people in Haiti. He also covered the cholera outbreak, Hurricane Matthew, and the Petrocaribe scandal. Ralph Thomassaint co-created the news section of the Haitian website, the Ayibo Post. He also studied law and sociology and holds a master's degree in digital journalism from NYU. He is currently the Caribbean correspondent of Documented, a New York news website focusing on immigrants. Guerline Jozef is a human rights advocate who has dedicated her life to bringing awareness to the issues that affect us all, locally and globally, such as immigration. Ms. Jozef was named one of Political's 2021 40 most influential people on race, politics, and policy in the United States for her leadership, and she is a recipient of prestigious awards, including the Las Americas 2021 Border Heroes Award and the 2021 Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Award, along with numerous others. She's been featured in Forbes, New York Times, and the Washington Post. She's testified in front of the United Nations and the United States Congress to demand humane treatment for Black immigrants. And lastly, Jemima Pierre is a professor of the Department of African American Studies and the Department of Anthropology at UCLA. She's a president-elect of the Association of Black Anthropologists and co-editor of the Black Agenda Review and the co-coordinator of the Haiti and Americas team of the Black Alliance for Peace. Her commentary on Haiti has been featured in segments with television host Mark Lamont Hill and her writing in the Society of Cultural Anthropology's publication, among many others. I'd like to remind our speakers today that we do have time constraints, and we ask that you try to limit your initial answers to 5 minutes each. I will play the role of timekeeper, so I might have to step in to interrupt you, but don't worry, we'll have plenty of time to talk in the Q&A for those who are interested. So my first question goes to Macollvie. You are the executive director, executive editor of the Haitian Times, which is based in New York, and you have people reporting from Haiti, but you also have extensive coverage of the diaspora communities from New York to Florida. Oftentimes the English speaking or international news media, when it covers Haiti, it's always focused when disaster strikes or when violence escalates. We often hear the term parachute journalism, the term used to describe when journalists seemingly drop out of the sky to write a quick report that will usually include the words, Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and they might write on a situation or a community that they might not know much about. So Haitian Times stories, though, is different than this. We see coverage of the unstable political and economic situation, but you also represent the diversity of Haitians, the achievements of the diaspora, and in the island. And your stories are representing sources that are from many different facets of Haitian society: professional groups, unions, religious groups, civil society, women's organizations. In one story that I saw, you even featured migrant groups organizing themselves in Mexico and what their demands were. All of these sources are especially important to tap in now that we have reports of no elected officials in Haiti. So my first question to you is, what are some of the opportunities and challenges for your newsroom when it comes to reporting on Haiti when there's few or no elected officials? And how are you finding this breadth of sources that I just mentioned that often aren't featured in many other outlets?
Aurora and everyone, thank you so much for organizing this. I'm really happy to be here and to be able to offer some insights into how the Haitian Times carries out the work that we do every single day. I'll start off by saying just that as an editor at the Haitian Times, I actually started my journalism career with the Haitian Times 20 some odd years ago, right? As an intern who just wanted to know more about Haiti as a college student and to tap into my culture more, right? And I think that's what draws a lot of people who come to the Haitian Times, our audience, right? They see what the mainstream outlets are reporting, they hear what people are saying, and they want more. They want more understanding, they want more context, they want more nuance. They want to see themselves represented the way that they know their families and friends in Haiti and in the US, other places in the world actually look, right? The way that they sound, the way that they feel about different things going on. And so that's how our mission at the Haitian Times is a little bit different than everyone else's, because our goal really is to bridge that gap between the geographical differences that exist between the 11 or 12 million people in Haiti and the 1.2 or 1.5 million who are outside of Haiti. We try to bridge the gap between the generations of people who came here 50 years ago, 60 years ago, the people who came here last week through that I-134A parole process, right? It's a constant flow of people coming in and out of Haiti, well, mostly out of Haiti. There are different pros and cons to that we probably can't get into today, but for the most part, when we approach a story, those are the people who are in our heads that we're trying to serve. You know, we have, you know, my mom, my cousins, my church community, right? Who are trying to just understand, what do we need to know that's accurate about XYZ? We don't want to hear necessarily the same things repeated over and over again. Like, give us something more that we can act on, right? So in a way, ours isn't only pure journalism, but part institution building, right? And steered towards like public service. So you'll see a lot of stories around, you know, whom to contact when there's an earthquake, right? Because people are looking for ways to try to get support. You'll see a lot of Q&As and explainers on the different immigration programs that are announced, things like that. You'll see a lot of communication and sources like on the ground. We'll go to the places that others won't, because we know there are families who have friends and relatives in Tapachula, Mexico, you know, in Chile, in areas of Haiti outside of Port-au-Prince who care about what's going on in those places in Port-au-Prince. And so that's why we went ahead a year ago and invested in creating a team of journalists in Haiti. After the 2021 assassination that you mentioned, Aurora, we did have some difficulty finding like good, reputable sources on the ground, right? And part of that challenge was due to the fact that the landscape of journalism in Haiti had frankly changed. The reputable sources we'd gone to in the past, back when I started out with the Haitian Times 20 years ago, were simply not there anymore. So there was just this like information vacuum that existed where trying to figure out the person giving you the information, like more and more, what is their agenda? Where are they coming from? How do I really trust what they're telling me? It became a lot more, it became more doubtful than it had ever been before. And so instead of saying, you know, we can't really do this job in Haiti anymore, we decided to fund, to shoestring really, a team in Haiti that can actually report on the ground. And so that's whom we rely on now to give us some of those voices, you know, to humanize all of the policy changes we're seeing, the UN announcements, the USAID announcements, the no officials elected, you know, all of the gang violence that we're seeing, the humanitarian crisis, you know, this Gungu Clorox business that's going on, really just devastating people in Haiti. Thankfully, we're able to train them virtually, right? That's the solution we came up with. And every day we're on WhatsApp, we're on Slack, we're on the phone, like constantly just trying to figure out how to tell the story. And given all of the technology difficulties they run into in Haiti with connectivity, you know, phones dropping, Wi-Fi dropping all the time. It's a miracle that we're actually able to get some of these stories out every day, but that's what makes it sweeter. Because when we get people like Jozef, the man that you mentioned was, you know, photographed being whipped by the Border Patrol, when he sees our story about 134A being out, and then he calls and says, I need a sponsor, we know we're doing the right thing. Like we're being that bridge between being a journalism institution and providing a public service.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like you do a very good job of tapping into those networks and working with people in many different areas. So it's definitely seen in the Haitian Times work. Thank you. My next question is to Ralph. Ralph, you're currently at the Caribbean, you're currently the Caribbean Communities Correspondent at Documented here in New York, but you also have experience reporting from Haiti on the ground. Can you tell me a little bit about how people felt talking to journalists when you were in Haiti and how you were able to build sources and gain trust while reporting on very heavy, stressful topics and situations such as the cholera outbreak and the aftermath of the earthquake? What worked best for you and what did you feel didn't work so well?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you to NABJ, which I've been a member for now 2 years. I'm very proud to share this panel with, you know, these people, Macollvie, Guerline, and Jemima. For your question, I've been in journalism for now 13 years. I had started after the earthquake. I had covered, you know, the earthquake relief, the cholera outbreak, natural disasters, and until the Petro-Caribe scandal, which is the biggest money heist in Haitian history. So what is it like to report in Haiti? Usually I respond to this question this way. Being Haitian, reporting about the Haitian situation, it's like your country is at war and you're covering that same war, and the people who are being killed are your countrymen or the members of your family. Being a journalist in Haiti have helped me discover a facet of Haiti I've ignored for a long time. Of course, I've heard people talking about a very disorganized country, you know, crippled by corruption, but also a beautiful country. You know, being a journalist have helped me to have that balance. So the way people respond to a reporter, to a journalist, depends on the kind of topics. For example, I have started covering humanitarian situation. It was a great occasion for me as a journalist to see the beauty of journalism. It's a strongly useful side, because after the earthquake, since, most of, the radio station in Port-au-Prince collapsed. So I was able to work in a humanitarian program providing news to people who were under the camps. And I realized how, when I had a 30-second to communicate to people, the many change could provoke. So people were, happy to share the problems, to share their needs with me as a reporter. On the other side, when it comes to cover topics, like corruption, it's a different kind of things, because as a reporter, I'm in touch with members of the elites who are highly corrupted. Members, sometimes influent people in the international community are not happy when a reporter covered corruption, because, as you may know, Haiti is a ground for, NGO commerce. There's all kind of corruption, national, local, and international corruption. So the way people respond to this is very different. For example, on Aibopo's platform, we had covered fully the Petrocaribe scandal, providing many explanatory content. It was a tough moment for us. And even before the assassination of the president, I was outside of the country. I was in New York, but I know that, the member of our staff had to cancel, their presence in the facilities, in Aibopo's facilities. So it's not easy even for Haitian to cover. And one last point I would like to mention is how white privilege shaped journalism too in Haiti. Haiti is a 99% Black nation, but sometimes as a journalist, I used to compare myself with foreign white journalists. How easy is it for them to get access to some key sources, especially people, in the embassies and the NGOs, who are most of the time the real power brokers in Haiti. So there are all these sides in, practicing journalism. I hope I answered the question fully.
Yeah. And to just kind of follow up, I'm assuming that there are probably differences in treatment that you might detect because of perceptions of, if someone is a foreigner, they come in, they have maybe institutions backing them, bigger institutions backing them. Is this kind of also a part of that? Without
hesitation, yes, it's a big yes. I had published in Creole a piece on Aibo Post explaining why there are some topics in Haiti that Haitian journalists are not able to cover. It's because of that privilege, institutional privilege, color privilege, country of origin privilege. In that piece, which is in Creole, I had mentioned how some foreign reporters, they come to Haiti with just a piece of equipment, sometimes a tripod, that can pay the annual salary of a reporter in Haiti. Mm-hmm. So when you have those kind of reporters coming, paying high fees and the most prestigious hotels, having the possibility to travel the country because they can rent, the most expensive cars, for example, to cover the kind of topic which is hard for us, because of all the material limitation we cannot cover. So this is a kind of privilege. And the privilege, as I mentioned, the access to sources. I've realized that, what I call the real power brokers. For example, I was born after the dictatorship. I've never seen the Haitian government acting as if it was an independent nation. So my entire life, I've witnessed what we call the international community making the decisions in Haiti through many institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, USAID, many NGOs, and currently the real power broker in Haiti is named Core Group, which is a coalition of foreign embassies, and I think the United Nations too. So when you have foreign journalists coming from, especially from the big news outlet, from the United States, from France and other countries, these people have more access, and the people in this institution are more willing to provide them one side of their stories. And sometimes foreign reporters are lured because they come in Haiti with the assumption that there is something that is named democracy that doesn't exist in Haiti, and these countries are doing whatever it comes to push democracy in Haiti. So sometimes those who are part of the problem are asked questions as judges, so which is a problem, which is part of the privilege.
Yeah, and I think that we'll get into that more, and I'm sure that there's going to be more questions around that on the Q&A.
Yeah, sure.
But thank you. Guerline, you're next. So we know that the Biden administration has been grappling with record migrant crosses at the US southern border, but also that it's been using a policy called Title 42, which is a COVID health measure created by the Trump administration that quickly expels migrants and people seeking asylum back to Mexico after they cross the border. But the CDC has said that this policy is no longer needed. So can you explain to us a little bit about the situation at the US southern border and in Mexico, and maybe give us just some background on US asylum laws and process?
No. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, NABJ, for having us. And before I get into the question, I want to say thank you to Ralph, who was in the Rio with me when everyone was trying to see what was happening. Ralph was with me in the Rio. Want to say thank you to Macollvie for bringing light when no one else wants to speak about the real issues. And definitely Jemima, my queen, who's been doing this, supporting asylum seekers in California and of course the country since 2016 or before. Before the news was happening, she was on the ground in immigration detentions, making sure that our brothers and sisters were getting the help that they need. So I wanted to acknowledge the fact that these people have been on the ground working on behalf of the community, and I am so grateful and honored to be part of this panel with you all. Wow, what's happening at the border? Right now, we have a lot of people who are still at the US-Mexico border seeking asylum, people who were previously in Brazil, in Chile, and people who are just coming now as well. The scenes at the border are heartbreaking. I just came back from Panama. When we hear about the Darien jungle, is one of the most dangerous places on earth, where we see men, women, children literally dying in front of you in search of life, only to be able to get to the US-Mexico border, to be mistreated, abused, erased, as we saw in September of 2021, deported.
Oh my God,
and
shut
now
up.
Because
I
of
don't
Title
care.
42, and now because of Title 42 being returned back to Mexico. And as you mentioned, the CDC and everyone have said Title 42 must end. And the Haitian Bridge Alliance was the first organization to send the very first letter to then President Trump, asking them in April of 2020 to stop the use of Title 42 because they were ramping deportations to Haiti. And on April 7th of 2020,
now I love Title 42. Jason, you'll change shit.
One of the flights that went to Haiti, unfortunately, had 5 to 7 people who were tested positive for COVID-19 upon arriving in Haiti. And so we really mobilized to ask them to stop deportation using Title 42. We currently see what's happening at the border. We currently see under President Biden, over 26,000 people have been deported. And today, as we are speaking today, there were another deportation flights to Haiti. Today. While you just heard from Ralph, you just heard from Macollvie, the situation in Haiti, yet we see international violence, and we do call deportations to Haiti currently as international violence, is continued to be happening on Black people by returning them to Haiti. You will hear a lot of discussions about how the media portrays all of that. For me, is really centering those realities at the border, where we are literally burying people every single month since January 1st of last year. We've been burying a person, whether it is at the US-Mexico border, in Puerto Rico, or wherever they might be. So these are the issues we don't normally hear on the news, and these are the issues we must address and push for Title 42 expansion and returning people to Mexico, in a place where if you are a Black person, there is no safety for you because you cannot blend in. Really looking into how do we center those realities and push the envelope when it comes to media, so that they center those realities without having to portray people, Haiti, as the poorest country in the world. We phrase that, and the reality is Haiti is impoverished. Haiti has become poor because of the actions of those who have been in power and continues to make sure that Haiti is where it is right now. So we really want to make sure we address those issues in the context of mass migration from Haiti, the root causes of migration of Haitians, making the journey to South Central Latin America to come to what we say chercher la vie at the US-Mexico border.
That's a very salient point. Thank you so much. And I do think that is one aspect of the news that we don't hear about, which is the toll that it's taking on communities. We thank you. We thank you for this work. Next, we have a question for Jemima. So Jemima, yes. You are a UCLA professor of anthropology and African American studies, which, if we're going to quote Florida's Ron DeSantis, apparently doesn't have any value. But of course, we're at the NABJ, so we understand the value of African American studies, we understand the value of history, but it does tell us a lot about the current political climate that we are in. However, you have continued to write about the legacy of occupation in Haiti. I know that a subject is very difficult for many, but I think it's important that journalists who want to engage in trauma-informed reporting understand that occupation is also a part of collective trauma that many Haitians face, along with others across the world, and along with the very real threats of violence and poverty that people are facing in the country now. So can you tell us a little bit, however concisely you can, about Haiti's history with occupation and how that is connected to what we're seeing today?
Yes, thank you. And thank you so much, Guerline, for those really kind words. And I appreciate all your work that I know since we've met in 2016, and Ralph, as well as Macollvie, thank you so much for all your work, and thank you for NAJB for inviting me to this very important forum. It's interesting for me. One thing that's always, I am an anthropologist by training, so it's a very different approach to what's going on in Haiti, and most of my work actually has been done on the African continent and how anthropologists represent Africans, which actually has very much a lot of the similarities of representing Black people seen as savages throughout time from the 1800s. But Haiti, though, it's interesting to me because I think we cannot talk about Haiti without talking about Haiti on the political situation. You cannot talk about Haiti without saying, well, Ariel Henry, for example, asked for a military, armed foreign force without understanding how he came into power.
Just to clarify for our audience, I'm sorry, just to clarify, Ariel Henry is the current prime minister?
De facto, unelected prime minister. And I think that's an important thing. And so it's also important to also say who is it that who had the power to appoint him? And then how it is that you have something called the core group, which makes decisions about what's going on in Haiti, how the core group came about, and why it has an outsized role in Haitian politics. And so if we don't understand how politics are shaped in Haiti, if we don't understand that this is a legacy that goes this particular moment from 2004, when you have the removal of the president, the installation of the bringing of UN peacekeeping, so-called peacekeeping, because that's a discussion that can be had. And then through that, you have the construction, the coming together of the core group of so-called international organizations, which are mainly European, the OAS, the European Union, and so on, that actually work together to run this occupation, which I call it occupation because it was a Chapter 7 occupation. And Chapter 7 UN deployment means that a country's at war and the forces can use violence and force to bring down the force. And Haiti is one of the few places that had a Chapter 7 deployment as opposed to a Chapter 6, which is a peaceful deployment. So we have to understand that, because the current government in Haiti is an installed government. The group of people that make decisions about what happens in Haiti are a bunch of foreigners run by the core group. They're the ones that go to the UN and make calls, ask for things to happen, and so on and so forth. So how do we talk about Haiti as a sovereign nation if we don't understand that Haitian politics are run by a group of foreigners? And to me, this is a second occupation, So this is the history of a long.
The core group is exactly, who are the members of the core group?
Right. The core group is interesting because the core group was created when the UN came in on June 1st, 2004, after Aristide was removed in the US, Canada-backed, France-backed coup d'etat, which even the New York Times has admitted very recently. And the core group was a group of self-selected so-called Friends of Haiti, decided that they would come together to manage the peacekeeping mission. And it includes members of the European Union, members of the Organization of American States. It has representatives from Germany, France. It has Brazil, because Lula's government led the military wing of the occupation in 2004. And so it really, it's an informal organization, and it has all representatives from these groups, and they come together and decide very clear Haiti states. And so, for example, when the president was assassinated in July 2021, it was the core group that issued a statement, about who would take over, right? In terms of who would be the prime minister, whether it was Claude Jozef. At first it was Claude Jozef, and then they changed their mind and decided on Ariel Henry. So if I can't, for me, I always think context matters. And so it's always fascinating to me to have reporters go to Haiti or write about Haiti, act as if everything that's happening in Haiti is happening to a sovereign nation, when Haiti is not a sovereign nation. When you have a group of foreigners make decisions, pick your prime minister, decide when elections are, and so on and so forth, you don't have sovereignty. And I know it's difficult to hear that about Haiti, because we are the first sovereign nation, Black sovereign nation, first Black republic in the world, but it is a reality that has to be confronted. And it comes after, years of meddling, right? And you have the US occupation from 1915 to 1934, which was a brutal one, but the UN occupation was also brutal. And one of the other things that doesn't happen is, if you're talking about the resurgence of cholera without talking about the fact that it was the UN soldiers that brought cholera to Haiti, that led to, by dumping fecal matter into the water, that then you got almost 1 million people sick and killed thousands. And so if we don't do that, if we don't understand, if we don't talk about the macro as well as the micro, we cannot understand. It makes it seem like, everything that's happening to Haitians because there's something deeply wrong with Haitian people themselves, that violence and poverty is an endemic thing and is very much linked to a particular, to views of these Black people, right? And so for me, occupation, so to me, Haiti is under a particular kind of occupation. It's not the same occupation as the Southern Marines that went in there in the 1915s and brutally killed Haiti, but it is a multinational occupation where all these people who believe in the UN project, take on the goals of the US, US goals in Haiti, US, France, and Canada goals in Haiti, and carry on that work. And so it's a very actually insidious kind of occupation because it goes under the veneer of international relations, of working together, responsibility to protect, humanitarianism, when in reality, it's really what it's done is actually removed our sovereignty and perpetuated violence that is not counted, right? So the violence of the UN, as Ban Ki-moon said in 2016 after cholera, what was it? He said, we don't accept the charge. When IJDH, the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, tried to sue the UN for bringing cholera, it said it's not acceptable. It's not an acceptable charge because the UN has immunity. So the violence of the Western world on Haiti, the violence of occupation gets lost in the story. And what we see, everything seems to be like created by Haitians in Haiti out of nowhere.
Thank you for explaining that. I think that helps deepen our understanding, particularly when you're able to link the spread of cholera to the UN peacekeeping force. And that was something, when it was being reported at the time, it took weeks, months, really, for that to come into clear view. And I think that is something that is important for reporters and editors to keep in mind, that a lot of the sources that we will be going to have to be rigorously questioned in that regard. So I have a few more questions for all the panelists, but I want to make sure that we have enough time for a robust question and answer session. So I'm going to ask anyone who would like to ask our panelists questions to please raise your hand and use the raise your hand emoji. And I think that we will be able to call on you. Let's please try to keep our questions focused on journalism, on the media, and how we can better report on Haiti. So we're looking now. Questions. Kirtiana, can I call on people and unmute them? Or is that something that you can do?
I'll go ahead and once you call them, I'll unmute them.
Okay. Wanda Williams.
Please unmute yourself, Wanda.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much. Hats off to NABJ Global Task Force for assembling this panel discussion. My question is, if someone could speak to the importance of understanding the history of the country of Haiti and the critical role that plays in understanding how the Haiti of the past really informs the Haiti of today in every area, and that will help you understand how to report and how to cover a country that has a complex past, but not so complex because they're a Western Hemispheric neighbor that is very much close, but very far away in terms of our understanding of what has happened to our neighbor.
I'll say share something very quickly. Thank you so much, Ms. Williams, and I'll pass it to Jemima, Ralph, and Macollvie. They might be able to better get into more details. So one thing I want to highlight is what Frederick Douglass said when he came back from Haiti. He said, they, speaking of the United States and the international world, will never forgive Haiti for being Black, and they will never forgive God for creating Haiti Black. And I will pass it to my colleagues, but wanted to kind of bring it back to the reality of who we represent, who we dare to be. We dare to exist, We dare to create a new language, a new identity, a new country. We dare to pioneer liberation, freedom, not only for the enslaved people who were in Haiti, but all people around the world. I will pass it back to my colleagues to share, but I wanted to kind of bring that to our attention to understand where we were and why we are where we are today.
And it just so we could get as many people as possible, I'm not sure that we have too many hands up. I'll try to allow maybe 2 panelists to respond to a question and then move on to the next. I don't know if any of our other panelists would like to respond to the comments or has any.
Well, I think that, no reporter can report about Haiti without considering its past. For context, maybe for those who don't know the history of Haiti, Haiti was the richest European colony, producing 3/4 of the sugar consumed in the world. And we dared to fight the French, which was the most powerful army at the time, and become the first independent nation in 1804. For some context, when the civil rights movement was taking place here in the United States, when white people, Black people couldn't go to the same restroom with Black people, Haiti was a 150 years plus independent nation. So I grew up in that Black nation when, for example, in the States, Black people couldn't go to schools with white people. So we were a Black nation prospering, having our writers, developing our culture. Of course, there was still the white Western imperialism, trying to influence Haiti. So Haiti is unique. And you can see even in the news, if you take the whole Caribbean region, you can see that Western media, they covered mostly Haiti because it's newsworthy. Haiti is a Black nation. Haiti had to be an example. Haiti has to be an example to other Black people, to other Black nations, to show them that Black people are incapable of governing themselves. So that's why for 2 centuries now, Haiti had been constantly unstable, and that instability is provoked by international intervention. For example, there is no reporter who can cover the melting of the government in Haiti, the melting of the states, without seeing the influence of what the core group Jemima mentioned, and especially the United States. So it will be a great failure for any reporter to cover Haiti as if, Jemima said, it was a completely free, independent, and sovereign nation.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point.
Can I add something really quickly to that? The international group core, they're all certainly part of the problem, but as Haitians, we also have to recognize that some of us, right, are in bed with these international groups. So in terms of the business elite, the political elite, right, the people that you find in Haiti who so-called run things, the power brokers, the people with money, they're very close to the folks in DC who have access to policymakers and can really move the needle on Haiti. So we have to recognize that if we're laying things on the table and really call out everyone for their collective responsibility in the condition that Haiti is in now.
Thank you. I'd like to call on Jania.
It's Janiyah.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Janiyah Gaston. I am the current president of the SIU chapter of NABJ. And is it okay if I say I have 2 questions? Is that all right? Okay. My first question is, how do you think coverage of news in Haiti can be better handled by American news outlets?
Can you also ask your second question so we can get 2 panelists to address them?
Sure. And I said, sorry, my next question is, what made you want to go into journalism?
So if we have 2 panelists who want to tackle those questions.
All right, I will keep it really short. But I think what we have to recognize is that parachute journalism is here, it's here to stay, right? There are pros and cons to it. With the way the media is structured, the way advertising and digital advertising now especially factors into decisions about what to invest in, we have to recognize that we can't have full bureaus really anywhere in the world, right? And so with a country like Haiti, the parachute journalism piece that you brought up in the beginning, yes, we have to have that, right? But what I wish, like fervently, right, when these reporters are deployed, that they do their homework. You know, it's a very basic step in that you learn in any journalism course, right? Do your research first, like read up, watch videos, talk to people before you go somewhere, right? Once you get there, understand like who you're talking to, like what are their motivations, kind of really from the study you've done, right? The way the country hierarchy is, figure out how racism, colorism, classism plays into the person that you're interviewing and their information that they're sharing with you, right? Ask yourself, what is the agenda here? You have to always be going beyond what you see on the surface in Haiti to be more nuanced and bring the context that can give you a rich representative story. So that's for folks on the ground who are actually deployed. The editors, I think on the other side, when they get copy, right, or they're brainstorming stories and all of that, it's the editor's responsibility, right, the management leadership team, to also know that they're reporters covering Haiti, where there's all this history that everyone has mentioned on the panel that needs to be recognized. You have to be the one who catches not only things like the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and say, no, we can't keep that in. We have to take out island nation. It's not an island. It shares one island with the Dominican Republic. Little things like that matter. Language matters. Calling people migrants like we're just this amorphous group versus, you know, asylum seekers and refugees. All of those considerations are things that editors have to do more of. And so I put the responsibility on both the journalists who are on the ground, the editing team, to make sure that they come back with a complete package that is fair to Haiti, the overall story of Haiti itself. I'll stop for now. But what made me want to go into journalism was really the storytelling, right? Growing up as a kid in Brooklyn, you know, born in Haiti, moved to Brooklyn at age 10, very tight-knit insular community. I didn't see a lot of Haitians represented in the media. And so when I saw the Haitian Times and said, oh my God, there's something that represents us, I was immediately drawn to it. And that's why I ended up switching careers and going into journalism right outside of college.
I think storytelling is definitely an element of journalism that pulls a lot of us in. I did want to slip in just a few questions for our panelists, and I'm open for any of you to answer. But I would like to just kind of ask, and also maybe Jemima can address this, and also Guerline and Ralph as well. It just seems that as we talked about the context of Haiti and Haiti's history and the perception and the views from the international community, it seems like word choice, photo choice, language usage, to go off of what Macollvie just said, all of that matters and needs to be inspected. What are some of the word choices and the photo choices that you see now in the media that you kind of take a second look at?
I'll be very quick and use myself as an example. Although people might see me in various medias, and Ralph and Macollvie can attest, before you get me to make a statement, it's very difficult. And I have retracted my statement from major news outlets, including the New York Times, the Associated Press, when what needs to be said is said in a manner that is condescending. The minute Haiti is the poorest country, my statement will not be included in that. The minute that whatever story becomes to a point of degrading my compatriots, my statement will be removed from the article at large. So I think really focusing on the language that's being used. Is it colonizing language? Is it degrading language? It is borderline white supremacist, white saviorism. All of those I always take into consideration before I agree to participate or have a quote being subjected to published.
Jemima, I think you had some comments on that.
Yeah, I'd like to take the longer historical approach, because I think, you know, the representations of Haiti that dominates the waves now, the airways recently, trace back to popular representations of Haiti from the Haitian Revolution. If you look at the old newspapers in the Haitian Revolution, what was focused on the pictures were these savages are killing whites. They're raping white women. They're doing that. This is from the 1800s. And I just want to, and then like 1800s, 1890, the key words are civilized, uncivilized, voodoo, cannibalism, anarchy, you know, bandits, gangs. The whole notion around gangs is not new. I mean, it's very much linked to even to how Africa, right? It's how Black people are represented. Even in the US, think about how they represented the protests during, you know, the killing of, you know, George Floyd, but even before George Floyd, right? But I wanted to just quickly read for you just the New York Times writing in 1891 about just a couple sentences. The headline in 1891, July 4th, New York Times, it says, "No more monstrous spectacle could be presented to the civilized world than is furnished to it by the present condition of Haiti. That condition is the natural sequence of the application of modern institutions to a savage people. This republic submits to the rule of an ignorant, violent person who is as much a savage as any chief in the heart of Africa." This is 1891. You go to 1921, you have headlines, the problem of Haiti, or natives in Haiti ate a US Marine officer, 1920, right?
I can't go into all of the headlines.
I know, but I do think the themes are, there are three things that happen when in representations of Haiti. On the one hand, there's completely ahistorical. There's no context. There's no historical context for the stories. The other thing, though, is there's this notion that there's a paternalism and a racism in the language, that these people, if we don't come in and control them, and not necessarily offer help, but it has to be a force, it has to be military force, it has to be a violent force to put down these people who are seen as savages. So I do think Haitians have been seen as savages, and even as recent as the earthquake. I mean, just a few months ago, you had the Washington Post like, we need to control Haiti, we need to take care of Haiti. Or the French representative of the UN last week on Twitter said, we were going to take Haiti under trusteeship because it can't control itself, right? And so you have things like David Brooks saying Haiti's resistant to change. And you see the similar kinds of narratives that you see from 1800s that you see in the language here that might be hidden under certain, cover, but it is still the language that represents Haitians as these savages that cannot rule themselves, that cannot be civilized. And I do think it comes out even in the liberal people, because it's a paternalism that, well, Haiti's a mess. We need to do something right now. If we don't do something right now, it's going to be anarchy. And so I do think it's very problematic. And I think if we don't go back to that time, we won't understand why it is that it's the same languages over and over again.
It's a very important points that you're bringing up. And I want to make sure that we are getting to as many questions as possible. I just also want to say it's important for editors and reporters to keep these larger contexts in mind when we're quoting people that might be echoing these narratives or these word usage in this language that our panelists are telling us about tonight. And to go back to the question that I had originally asked Macollvie, which is like, who are your sources? Are we expanding our sources? Are we going to these different civil society groups who may not have as much of this language? So there's no way we can completely avoid this if we're going to be talking about officials, as we should be as reporters, but we need to expand the sources that we go to. And so I'm going to let another question. I know Lester Young has had his hand up for a while. So please, Lester Young, unmute yourself and just try to keep it under a minute, please.
Yes, I got y'all. So my apologies. My name is Quinn. Don't mind the name, it's just for gamer reasons. I'm a freelance journalist for Houstonia Magazine and Leafly and other publications. My question is, it's short but loaded at the same time. So thank you so much, panelists. Y'all are amazing. What is your point of view or perspective of the historical connection and relationship between Haitians and Black Americans / Afro Creoles, and how can one report on the African diaspora connection in a healthy and equitable manner? Thank you.
I know we have from Ralph, if Ralph wants to take that, or another panelist.
I can jump in since we're working on some stories related to this with Black History Month coming up, tomorrow. I've always felt like Haiti, the experience of Haitians in Haiti and in the diaspora is very much like the experience of Black Americans, African Americans in this country in so many ways, right? For example, police brutality, right? Abner Louima, if anyone is familiar with that case back from 1997, right? He was, assaulted by 4 police officers in a bathroom, with a plunger, very graphic, horrifying situation, right? At the time, the Haitian community in Brooklyn, New York, where I'm from, was feeling like it has to march, it has to do all these things, right? But who came to our aid? Reverend Al Sharpton, people who'd been marching with Dr. King since the 60s to show us the way and the path. Before Louima, a couple years before, you had Rodney King in LA. So in some ways you had Haitians experiencing the same, impact of repression, right? Of just anti-Blackness that we see that we now are calling and referring to the movement of Black Lives. We were experiencing it in Brooklyn or in South Florida in our very own tight-knit little communities, while in LA, Compton and different places, Black Americans were experiencing it in certain ways, right? So I think it's taken all this time after all of these decades for both communities to finally see that it's not just them on their side or in their nation, their home country, but this is a reaction to just white supremacy in all its different forms that we're experiencing, that we're feeling the brunt of, right? And so we're talking about how we've experienced the same histories at different points in time in parallel structure, but finally now in the US, we see us experiencing Tyree Nichols together at the same time. As the community, the Haitian community progresses in the US, we assimilate, we have kids, their kids have kids, right? We're now being seen in many ways as Black Americans, right? Or Americans who are of Haitian ancestry. So in many ways, Lester, I feel like our histories are merging, right? And together, I think, we have a new opportunity to become stronger, more definitive, more strategic about how we address these issues impacting our individual unique communities, how to address them collectively as a diaspora, African diaspora. I'll stop here and let some other folks chime in, but I am very passionate about the parallels between the history of both groups.
Thank
you. I was hoping rapidly. There's something very important regarding the relationship between the white structure here in the United States with African American. It was for me something, could I say, intellectually important, because it helped me understand that as long as United States treat African American the way it treat them, it will be always racist in its international politics. That's the reason why I think there is no way you can address international politics toward Haiti without considering racism. Because the question is simple. If the United States can treat its own citizen, American citizen, because they're Black that way, how couldn't be it racist toward Haiti, the first Black republic in the world? I think for a long time, the United States has been sending white ambassadors. Those white ambassadors grew up in white culture where, even they don't assume racism, but they are full of biases. So we have these people representing foreign interests, growing up in racist culture. Sometimes they are not even aware that they are racist. So this is one point. And I want to jump back to the question about the image. I think we must consider the two sides of the coin. Even as a journalist in Haiti, sometimes the Haitian public is not comfortable when we cover stories that report what is going very wrong in Haiti, okay? Haiti is a poor country. Of course, we have to report poverty. But there's something, maybe you can make this experience today. If you go on Google and you write Haiti in English, you will see all the images that comes out will be about disaster, instability, trash, etc. But if you write the name Haiti in Creole, Haitian Creole, Ayti, you will see another face, of Haiti. It will be about, Haitian culture. It will be about craft people creating, about music. It will be the other side. A couple of years ago, I had a conversation with a representative of one of the big news agencies in the US, and he was telling me how Haiti was important to them because in the whole region, Haiti was the most newsworthy nation. Newsworthy because there's always instability, but you will see that mostly in the Western media, when it's not about natural disasters or political instability, you will fail to realize that there's a civil society in Haiti trying to push things. There are people in the private sector doing their things. There are people creating. Haiti is rich in culture. So I think the problem is in the nature of the press in itself, because to be able to feed the public, journalism has entered into a kind of industrial production. We must feed the public all the time. It must be about blood, sex, war, and crime. And, this has some kind of influence on foreign reporters when they're covering Haiti too. I'm stopping there.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we also are running out of time. We'll probably go on for maybe 10 or so more minutes. Tiana, you had a question you wanted to address as well? Also, for
Yes.
I included an NABJ tip sheet in the meeting chat, so please feel free to take a look at that.
My question is actually rather simple. As I said earlier, I'm a journalist based in Brazil, and before I actually moved to Brazil, I tried to find other journalists who I felt were doing amazing work, other journalists who were similar to myself, who weren't Brazilian and who weren't of the culture. And so I would like to know from you guys, are there some non-Haitian journalists or non-Haitian outlets that you guys look to and say, wow, these people, they're really doing a great job. They're doing their homework. They're covering it in a way that Haiti should be covered. And if you're open to giving us their names or the names of the outlets, I would welcome that information.
There are a few black-led or black-owned griot is a very, very good one. I will post yes, Macollvie. But the griot, Democracy Now! Also does good work. Miami Herald, Jacqueline Charles, a lot of others. But we are seeing, because of the pushback, a lot of major media networks fixing themselves. Every now and then they will go back, revert to their old ways, but we are seeing the pushback really working. But I'll say we are seeing some Black-led media really portraying Haiti in a very positive light, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, as for me, I won't say that, international coverage on Haiti is all negative. I've seen many, juicy, very interesting pieces about Haiti, on multiple news outlets. Sometimes they have their failures, which is part of journalism, because I'm a journalist. Sometimes I publish things, and, a couple of years later, I realized that, there is some, there's a missing point. So we all, it's journalism in itself. Yeah, that's it. So I cannot say there is a specific news outlet that covers entirely Haiti on the good side. You have, foreign journalists who are dedicated to do their job very well. Sometimes they fail to cover one aspect of the problem because of the biases, unconscious biases, which is not, something they were willing to, but I've collaborated with many foreign journalists. I've seen the way they were trying to to go to as many sources as possible. They were trying to balance their reporting. I've read many good pieces, but I'd be glad to read a juicy New York Times investigation about the core group. I would like to see some kind of deep investigation about where has the USAID money gone for the last 30, 40 years in Haiti? This is something very interesting. So an organism pushing, development, who has spent, I don't know, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars, and in a country that has begun poor. So I would like to read such pieces to have such, this perspective in the big news outlet who have all the material means to conduct, those deep investigations.
That's a good tip for our journalists here right now. I think we're about ready to close up, but I will take a few more questions. Jason Walker.
Please.
Bonjour. Good evening, everybody. I'm a Jamaican, based in US, but grew up in Jamaica, which neighbors Haiti, so there's a lot of personal things with that for me. I am a journalist at 2B Caribbean. I work with a agency in Miami called FAM, Family Action Network Movement. And yes, it was by design that FAM, which is another word for women in Haiti, of course, but it deals with the family. That being said, oh, thank you, Jemima. That being said, in my capacity in both ways, well, first and foremost, for all the media in here, when you're doing pieces on Haiti, please remember that, in terms of the United States, if there wasn't a Haitian revolution, the United States wouldn't double in size. And the United States definitely wouldn't have been the country that we know now. That's one. Also, during the US Revolution, when Haitians and some Jamaican divisions under Bookman were in Savannah, the British were distracted, which allowed George Washington to do that famous thing, go across the Potomac and win the revolution. Just want to make those points, that recognize Haiti is very instrumental for this country being independent. Want them put out there. Anyway, that being said, in my capacity in both areas, as a journalist for 2B Caribbean and working with FAM, I wanted to do a campaign around educating people about what's happening on the Dominican Republic border. And when I say people, I'm speaking about CARICOM. I'm speaking about, and for those who don't know, CARICOM is a Caribbean community which represents roughly 17 governments in the Caribbean, including Haiti, by the way. We want to get the awareness more about what's happening on the Dom Rep border, really get people involved. And I'm actually having a meeting very soon with members who are getting with CARICOM, and also, even interestingly, all the Baptist churches in the region who want to do something about this to change and improve the situation for Haitian people. So the question I'm asking the panel, what are the talking points and information that needs to be in media to get people around the world really educated about what's happening on the Dom Rep border? because nobody's talking about it, and the atrocities that exist there, and then to get CARICOM and major institutions who want better for Haiti to jump in and get involved in what needs to be done. What do you guys think need to be done?
So that seems to be a two-part question about CARICOM and the Dominican.
You know us Jamaicans, we multiple.
Always good at multitasking. So if I can get maybe two panelists, and I think we'll end with this question to respond to those two questions, the Dominican Republic border and also CARICOM's role.
So I can take this one a little bit because the Haitian Times, I agree with you, Jason, that we as media organizations, we hadn't been talking enough about what's happening with the Dominican Republic in Haiti. Its closest neighbor and home to some 500,000 Haitians, right? It's the first way out for Haitians when they're looking to just leave, right? So we actually sent 2 reporters to the Dominican Republic in the past month to take a look at this. And so we're going through all the video now, all the interviews to try to present our version of the story to the world, because you're right, it is way overdue. And so we're getting to it now and hoping to do it justice. So we might actually reach out to some people on this panel for some context as we continue the reporting on the relations between the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So I hope you all will be open to that. As far as CARICOM and what needs to be done, right? I feel like CARICOM too is subject to a lot of the same conditions that the US imposes on Haiti on its own. Like when you look at all these trade agreements and go through the reports and see them come to Washington, DC to lobby for different things, I don't know that necessarily the deals that they're striking are to the advantage, the best advantage of their people versus to the best advantage of the interests of the folks who have access to people in DC. I hope that wasn't too convoluted to understand, but we're basically saying in a way what Ralph, what Jemima, what everyone's been saying, right? Haiti's condition right now is not an isolated like accident, right? We may be seeing the worst effects of it because there is a spotlight on Haiti. It's a Black country. It's got this rich history as the first Black republic. So it's easy pickings in a lot of ways. But our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, in the DR, in Puerto Rico, right? If you look at the fights there happening with its sovereignty, it's not that much different. So I think we have to think of this as in collective opportunities to address anti-Blackness in a global sense, instead of like these one-off little pieces. And until people are really willing and able to have those conversations at that level, the uncomfortable conversations, I don't know like how effective any changes in policy might be for future generations of Black and brown people across the globe.
True. And I know I was, I already said my piece, but just to speak to what you just said, Ms. Neel, maybe this could be an opportunity for the practice of our nations to collectively work, beginning with this issue. Because I'm saying this to you because that's what I heard them say. I speak to people who are connected to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Prime Minister of Barbados, and these are the conversations they're having in the cabinet. Like, this could be the opportunity to begin that collective movement where we're all working together. And that will be the beginning of all of us working together to fight against this. Of course, it's an anti-Black result. This is the result of an anti-Black campaign on all of us. No arguments.
Thank you.
Maybe working collectively with this could begin how we deal with everybody else. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that is also another important point is just looking at Haiti in the wider Caribbean region and remembering that it also plays an important part in this context. I'm just going to ask our panelists as we're heading into our last 5 minutes to just maybe close out any closing statements that you would like to give journalists as tips as moving forward Try to take maybe a minute and 30 seconds. We can start with whoever wants to begin. Any closing final statements? Anything you weren't able to mention?
Okay, let me start. I would say that journalism is not easy anywhere. So, of course, in Haiti, we have our own context. One of the reasons why I was proud to participate in that panel is because it's one of the rare occasions where, as you know, Haitian journalists, to give my perspective to, you know, a foreign audience. So I think our perspective is very important. And I know there are, you know, in the public, people who are in journalism or who are interested to become journalists. I think that, you know, the same way we say that, you know, the Haitian history must be considered, Haiti is a complex country. I think it must be applied to whatever country you go. Jason evoked the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic has a complex history and anti-Blackness history. So the same way you go to the Dominican Republic, so do your work, you know, try to understand all the power broker, all the differences. And what else? For everyone here, beyond the crisis, beyond, you know, the political instability, Haiti is it's a rich country with people with heart. And I, you know, truly encourage you to read Haitian history. If you read Haitian history, you will understand many things happening in the world now, especially here in the United States. Thank you.
Final words for, you know, journalists or people who are interested in Haiti. Right now, Haiti, the perceptions of Haiti that I've seen play out in the media is one of being, you know, revered, celebrated as the first Black Republic, the Pearl of the Antilles, right? And on the other side of the spectrum is Haiti that's like demonized, romanticized, fetishized, you know, name all of it, right? I think what matters is the people in that spectrum, in the middle of all that are the people, right? So yes, you can do your research. Yes, you should understand the context, but when you're interviewing people on the ground or talking about this policy and that policy, I would really encourage everyone to really think of the human element and how that's affecting somebody's like day-to-day life. You know, if you're talking about money from UNICEF or the money from USAID that disappears all the time, think about what that means for someone in Haiti who's living that experience, because ultimately those are the voices that need to be elevated and amplified outside of Haiti. Nothing would please the powers that be more than for all of us to just say, okay, we're done. There's no government, there's no official in Haiti, you know, there's no country left, right? But there is. Ralph is absolutely right. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And so we have to do all we can to bring that side of Haiti to the fore as much as possible.
Thank you. Guerline or Jemima?
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, as Ralph and Macollvie were speaking, the only thing that kept on coming to mind is nous là toujours, which is we are here, we are still here, and we will continue to be here. And really understanding what that means, as Maya Angelou will say, still we rise. Right? And we will continue to do that, whether it is at home or in the Caribbean or in the diaspora. I mean, we will continue to be that guiding light for freedom and liberation that even the United States strives to be. Really understanding when people, journalists are talking about Haiti is to center the lives of the impacted people, to showcase the beauty of who we are, the culture, the rich history that is second to none. And as a Haitian American Black woman, I couldn't be prouder to be descendant of those brave people who fought and gave the world freedom. Haiti is the mother of the New World. Haiti is the mother of freedom and liberty for all people. And I would love to continue to see that we highlight that in every aspect, in every way that we are able to bring that to the forefront.
Thank you, Guerline. Jemima?
I love Guerline's energy. Thank you, Guerline, for that. That is so nice. I wanted to just say the two things I want to say. One thing is we need to stop exceptionalizing Haiti. I think there's a way that Haiti gets brought in. So for example, you would not know that Jamaica had to shut down because of a gang issue, that, you know, the gangs in Jamaica had killed 1,600 people between January and November last year. And so there's a way that the focus on Haiti actually points to what the so-called international community wants to do with Haiti. And I think I wanted to end with a quote by Michelle Rolfe-Trouillot, who said, "The more Haiti appears weird, the easier it is to forget that it represents the longest neocolonial experiment in the history of the West." And I think we need to remember that, because we need to remember also that entities such as the UN, USAID, the OAS, the WTO, these are working for a structure, a European-centered world that actually determine what goes on in the rest of the world. It enforces white supremacy, and Haiti is a cog, as well as these African countries, the Caribbean countries, in that wheel. So we have to actually understand that, and then understand how Haiti is being used in particular ways, even as we celebrate Haiti, even as we understand the human element, but we have to understand the larger structure that determines who gets to get a story in the New York Times when, and when they don't bother to think about Haiti. So that's all I wanted to end with. And thank you so much for having me. And so good to be with you all, my comrades.
Thank you all for joining us in this critically important discussion. And we hope that it's the beginning of the conversation and certainly not the last. And we invite you all to use this discussion as a launchpad to continue conversations with your colleagues and in your newsrooms. And we hope it's giving you more insight into this situation. Please take a look at this tip sheet that I am also going to share again in the chat. It has a little bit of quotes from our panelists, and we'll be updating it with things that we have said in the panel today. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Aurora. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.